Well, intelligence sources have reported to Redacted that the deep state inside the Department of Homeland Security deliberately targeted Kristi Noem, stole her purse while she was dining in Florida, all in an effort to show how vulnerable she was. This wasn't just a random attack, it was a targeted attack, and Kristi Noem says it was professionally done. She said this publicly. It wasn't just random. They knew she was there. Who knew she was there? Well, according to sources we've spoken to, the group responsible, HSI, Homeland Security Intelligence Service. Yes, the same group of individuals who were inexplicably in Butler, Pennsylvania. President Trump was almost assassinated. Very same group that was at the Clariton Gun Club in Butler, Pennsylvania. Thomas Crooks was there. So why is the deep state trying to take down Kristi Noem? Why are they trying to ruin Trump's team? It's a good question, one we want to get to the bottom of.
If you've ever had a cup of coffee that makes you feel younger, more alive, well, that's where you go for 1775's Rejuvenate coffee. It's a bold dark roast infused with KAAKG. That's the same compound studied to reverse biological age by up to 8 years. You guys, it fuels your cells, sharpens your minds, and supports long-term strength, all without popping a cabinet full of supplements or drinking swamp water in a bottle. This isn't junk lab. It's not a mystery blend. It's just real single origin, small batch coffee that will make you go boing, which is what you buy coffee for, isn't it? Well, here's the best part. When you buy 1775 coffee, you're backing free speech, freedom of choice, and a company that backs the same creative values that we do here on Redacted. So no corporate overlords. Just some products made for people who really believe in something real and want to add something to the economy. So go to 1775coffee.com, grab their anti-aging longevity roast, use the code Redacted, and you'll get 15% off. So feel sharper, stronger, younger, and know that you're fueling the companies that give a damn about your health and freedom. That's 1775coffee.com/redacted. Use the code Redacted.
We have a special guest now that we want to bring in to the show. Author, Prepared Not to Be Scared, Prepared Not Scared, your go-to guide for staying safe in an unsafe world. Kristi Noem was, I said Florida. She was robbed in D.C. And despite having Secret Service protection, how in the world does that happen? Let's bring in Bill Stanton again, author of Prepared Not Scared, your go-to guide for staying safe in an unsafe world. By the way, I love your book, Bill, and
Thank you.
Was telling my family all about it and how to just make sure you're always prepared in these situations. And it's, situational awareness, all of these things. But Bill, great to have you here on the show for the first time. Welcome.
My virgin voyage. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. So she says it was professionally done. And again, I'm not surprised. And again, the sources we've spoken to talk about the Homeland Security Intelligence Service and the deep state at the heart of this, trying to undermine and show how vulnerable she is, or to maybe show like, hey, we're watching you at every turn, and you're making all of these arrests, you're rounding up all of these individuals, but we're here watching you. We want you to know that we know exactly what you're doing. What do you make of this?
Well, I could argue this both ways. It could be as simple as a busboy saw a crime of opportunity, right, and took the bag, right? And statistically, that is far more likely. Someone saw an expensive bag. I'm guessing it was expensive, a high-priced bag. It goes south. Or it could be more conspiratorial. Now, with conspiracy theories, how do you prove a negative? You can't. We can go everywhere with this. I would put forth, if it were really a conspiracy to really mess with her head, what has been done in my profession. I've heard stories. So let's say she has an apartment, or let's say you would go home to your apartment and you have your TV set and your couch opposite each other. Suppose you came home and they were switched. Nothing else was touched. Or let's say your chair in the love seat and they were switched. What would you do? You would go to your significant other. You would say, hey, you don't understand what just happened. You would look like you're insane, but that would send the message. I don't know that stealing a pocketbook is really like putting, sending the fish to the Corleone family to send the message. Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. I don't see it at this point, at this time, unless there are more facts, unless I see emails or there's some whistleblower or someone comes forth. It's hard for me to think that a pocketbook would scare or send a message to someone.
I like where you're going, that you don't want to be, fear mongering here. I always appreciate that. I always want to sort of tamp that down. We try to call out fear mongers on this show all the time. Like we have been doing about COVID and other things, about the new COVID that's coming and other stories. However, the targeting, the whereabouts and the knowledge that she was there, the use of an illegal immigrant, which, again, according to sources I've spoken with, are the very type of people that HSI has been using to carry out these types of things. And again, I think that we actively know that the deep state is trying to undermine members of the Trump administration. Just look at what they've been doing to Pete Hegseth.
I completely agree on that. Absolutely.
So you're undermining, you're going after these people who are taking away your bread and butter. They are taking away your money. They are taking away, we know the massive sex trafficking operation, the child sex trafficking operation, these massive arrests by ICE. So and she says it was professionally done. She's got to know something here. You don't just say that it was professionally done. She was targeted. I'm seeing it that she was targeted.
I could. All right. So I'm glad we have some time to like a fine wine to let this breathe a little bit and examine both sides. Again, I could argue both sides, but like if you're going to get, let's say, an illegal to do your dirty work, if you will, now you're leaving a trail. If that person gets caught, we all watch Mission Impossible, right? And everything has to be perfectly done at the right time. Well, you have this, Kristi, she's out there. She has a pocketbook. She puts it down. Maybe someone inside her own circle who was forced to work on their day off, they just took it, to mess with her head. And I'm basing this on cases, non-governmental, because I do a lot of corporate investigations. You would be amazed how many people on your team have these hidden biases or envy or anger where they feel they weren't rewarded enough. There is just too many variables, for the extremes. Many times the most simple answer is the answer. She's so used to having that protection around her, that cocoon. My guess is these government officials treat wherever they go as if it's their living room. How do I know? Because I've seen it. I used to do executive protection, and people will just drop their stuff anywhere because they count on the protection detail or one of the many assistants that they have to police the area, picking it up, following them. So I just think the great pocketbook or purse heist is just like, I don't know. There are so many other opportunity-rich environments that if I really wanted to send a message to mess with her head, I would.
I get that it doesn't rise to the level of Luca Brasi and he sleeps with the fishes, right? We've killed this man. Here's your fish. We're sending this message. It's a stolen purse. But it does send a message that the head of Homeland Security is vulnerable with the Secret Service there. And I think you hit on the key point as we're discussing this like a fine wine. There are people, well, I know for a fact that there are people, whistleblowers who've come forward. There are people trying to undermine her actively within the Homeland, and I've known that for months actually, within the Homeland Security office. So they don't like her. There's things that she's doing that's really undermining. We know what a criminal organization the Department of Homeland Security has been under Alejandro Mayorkas. I mean, talk about an active facilitation of leaving our border wide open. And
what's interesting, if I could just briefly interrupt, notice no leaks under Mayorkas, right? So that
right.
No controversy under Mayorkas. So that would tell me he had his acolytes on lockdown. The people that he was leading, at least his inner circle, all drank the Kool-Aid. So I have to believe there's some overlap. You know, if we're speaking this like with two investigators investigating this and all possible motivations, right? Those overlap people may have been the ones to enact this to make her look bad or send that message, as you discussed.
Right. And we've covered months ago on this show about the moles within the Department of Homeland Security, within the Pentagon, who have burrowed in and tried to keep their jobs, but also hide basically within the government. So the fact that you had Alejandro Mayorkas, one of the worst, I think, criminals in modern American history, and what treasonous, really, what he's done to the United States of America, and we had no leaks coming out of there. They were all complicit in the destruction of our border, and now she's there.
It enraged me when he's looking at the camera, telling the American public, we have a secure border. We do not have a border problem. If he were Pinocchio, he would put all our eyes out through the TVs we were watching from. I mean, and he did it with such arrogance, and no one had anything to say on the inside. So that tells me that administration, the previous administration, surrounded themselves with lifelong acolytes that are wrapped up in civil servant clothing. I do believe there is a deep state. And Vivek gave one of the best definitions how he defined and saw the deep state. It's not everybody's in communication with each other. It's not like, I'll go back to the Get Smart days, they're all members of chaos. It is a groupthink. And when everybody is marching in that direction, you know, the people trying to do right die a death by 1,000 cuts, figuratively speaking. A leak here, stolen documents there. You know, to make the current administration look inept is one of their goals. And to your point, now going the other way, stealing a purse kind of sort of makes it look like, how are you supposed to be taking care of us when you can't even watch your own pocketbook? So
yes.
I'm leaning on the other side now.
See, well, as a discussion, here we go. We're, as investigators, having a conversation about this, and I'll get you out of here on this, Bill. Marvin Vargas in our chat asks, he says, Marvin writes, if Kristi is gone, who would replace her? Who would that benefit? Good question.
Well, I mean, it's not that it would necessarily, well, it would benefit the opposing team than Trump. It would benefit them because think about this. Say you're Trump, you're the captain, you're the quarterback of this phenomenal Super Bowl winning team. And now you're going in to win it all, right? So you mess with one of the players, you take their helmet, you take their cleats, where they can't get on the field and play, you're disrupting the game plan. And whether it's a major disruption or a minor disruption is really irrelevant because it's a disruption. And that's what we're seeing here.
It's exactly what's happening with Hegseth, by the way, right now. It's a major disruption. And one of the most important departments in the executive branch at the Pentagon. Bill, great to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the back and forth. Thank you so much we can sort of air this in public. Yeah, thank you so much, Bill. Great to see you.